JT Nesbitt. Welcome to our third episode of the rescue of our Harley. I'm joined by my excellent nephew, Luca, as always. Luca, what's going on with this Harley?
So, okay, I was gone for a few, but while I was gone, my uncle did a bunch of modifications, which we'll talk about in a few. I'm really actually excited to continue the rescue of this Harley Davidson 1972 FX.
So JT, what did you do while I was gone?
Luca, this motorcycle was in terrible condition. This bike has basically been destroyed by squirrel-eating hillbillies for the past 30 years, people who have no experience and no resources to do things the right way. I've had to do a lot of repair work on the chassis to get it ready. One of the things I had to do was build an entirely new gas tank mount here, which meant a lot of cutting and welding and creation of a new part. Because this motorcycle was originally an electric start, I had to put on a new tab for a floorboard mount. The original floorboards, of course, mounted to the aluminum primary. But because we're running a 10 primary, I had to add this tab for a 10 primary, and I also had to repair this missing gusset that somebody cut off for some reason. It's been a tremendous amount of work just to get the chassis prepped and ready for reassembly. Our next job really needs to be suspension. So our final thing we got to do with the chassis in this form is investigate the front end. Let's have a look.
Alrighty, so we're going to disassemble this front end, and after we do that, we're going to check the steering neck bearings. So I'm going to start off by taking off these top bolts here, and then while we're at it, we're going to replace the springs inside of here.
All right, we're ready to have a look at these steering neck bearings. And the lower tree is coming out. Wait, what? Dude, our cup just came off with, our bearing cup just came off with the lower tree. Oh no. These cups are supposed to be pressed into the chassis. They're not supposed to fall in and out like that. Every part on this motorcycle has been completely destroyed.
JT, what the heck are you doing?
I'm literally cutting the bottom steering neck bearing off of the steering stem. It's totally frozen on there. So the cups, the parts that are supposed to be pressed in, fall out, and the parts we're supposed to be able to remove are seized. That's the story of this motorcycle. literally had to cut the race to be able to get it to come off. So that means that our lower bearing is completely destroyed. But good news is I was nice and careful, and it looks like the stem, after getting the lower tree really cleaned up and getting all the grease off of it, man, it looks like this has been welded. Like up in here, see that big chunk taken out of it? Like all around here, look, this has been grinded and welded on. I don't think we can use this part. Again, it's another junk part on this motorcycle. This bike is a rolling basket case. So we got new steering neck cups, but even the new ones are still loose in the frame. These should be pressed in and they just slide in. It's a slip fit. What that means is that we're gonna have to stipple our cups and the steering neck on the pressing surfaces. A little bit of work, not good. What you doing, Luca?
I'm using the bastard file to dress this, to flatten it out.
Well, now what I'm doing is I'm taking a punch and I'm stippling the inside of the steering neck. What that's going to do is that's going to raise the metal up so that when we press our steering cups in, it'll have a little more resistance. And we're also going to use a really special product called Seal Lock, which is an anaerobic adhesive that's going to help keep these steering neck cups true and locked in to this steering neck. This is a really important aspect of motorcycles. If you got loose steering neck bearings, you'll get a speed wobble, and it's very dangerous. Loctite 609 Seal Lock. It's green. This is our tool for installing steering neck races. Selected the right cups. And let's get these cups installed. Cut for a sec.
Having the right tool for the job makes all the difference, doesn't it?
I'm going to have to find a new lower tree and steering stem, but in the meantime we'll just reinstall this old one, and so that we can keep making progress on our build.
First time I was here, this shelf was filled with all of the junk that we took off of that old Harley. But now, Uncle JT salvaged what he could, which sadly was not much, and bought new parts for everything. So as you can see, it's all new. See, we got new tires, wheels, new everything.
Well, it's time to start getting our Funky Harley back together. The reassembly process is going to start with the front end. And one of the things I'm going to do is replace these old springs, these stock springs, with a brand new set of progressive springs. One of the things that guys who work on Harleys rarely do is a lot of work on suspension. And our bike is going to be different because we're going to very carefully choose the correct suspension components. We'll get to more on that when we do the rear. But for now, let's use a lightweight 5-weight fork oil. I really like light fork oil. It just makes the front end feel more alive. Let's get the springs in these fork tubes and get them back on the bike. So long, old springs. Now, if you thought that our front triple tree was bad, it's nothing compared to what I had to do to this swing arm. I had to literally cut the swing arm off of the motorcycle. The bearings were frozen in here. I had to pound them out. It was a real pain. So I've got a new bearing kit, new seal kit, and I had to get an oversized axle because the way these axles work, come on in. The way these axles work, they're supposed to thread into the chassis, but our chassis was all stripped out. So I got a longer axle with more threads on it so that we can put a traditional nut on it. And one of the things I had to do is I had to actually shim, once I got the swing arm installed, I had to shim it. And what I realized was there was 1 millimeter of in play. The swing arm was moving this way. So these are 0.5 millimeter shims that go on either side. Well, we got our swing arm back on and it ain't coming back off. So what Luca and I did is we slowly tightened our swing arm pivot, our axle, until we have just a little bit of drag on those bearings. That way we know that everything is lined up and not too loose, but not over tight. You want to have just a little bit of drag right there and 0 side to side motion. That is installed correctly. With our front suspension done and our swing arm now on, it's time to move our attention to the rear suspension. And one thing that I've found invariably is that Harleys are always oversprung in the rear. So we're going to experiment with a few different spring combinations in our rear shocks to see which ones perform the best for a nice, soft, gentle ride. Let's swap some shocks out. Good news is we got progressive suspension, full shock absorbers on the rear of this bike. So let's do some experimentation. I started off with these springs, which are 245/340, and that's the stock recommendation for progressive for a Harley, but these are just way oversprung. I then went to a lighter spring, and that was too light, which is in here now. So what we're going to do is split the difference. These are 140/200. Let's put the 140/200 springs in here and see how it feels. That's good, that's good. When we left off last time, I was investigating the rear wheel. It was a star hub, and the 72 Harleys actually came with what's called a mid-star hub. That old star hub was destroyed. So I went ahead and splurged and got us brand new wheels. There's something about having nice wheels on a motorcycle. It really makes the project. If your bike doesn't have nice wheels on it, it just doesn't show well. So let's get these beautiful brand new wheels with the awesome Shinko vintage style tires onto our chassis.
Tightening all 4 bolts on the wheel, or on the, what's it called? On the fender. So we got the wheel on, and yeah, it's just a few extra steps to, make sure it doesn't move.
With the front wheel on, it's time to put the rear on. And to get the rear on, we had to do the rear brake because the drum is integrated into the wheel. So last time, if you remember our brake backing plate, the only part that I was able to salvage was the backing plate itself. The shoes are brand new, the master cylinder, all the hardware. Let's get this rear wheel back together. All right, well, we're getting our shocks together over here, putting the shocks on. We're almost ready to take the jack stands out from underneath the bike. We're getting close to having a roller. When it comes to fenders on our bike, the front fender is full of holes, and I can fill those before we get it painted or powder coated. But the rear fender was completely destroyed. Every thread was cross-threaded and destroyed. So I had to buy a new rear fender. Let's get her on. You know, you can find just about any kind of handlebar you want for a Harley, as long as it's some crazy ape hanger with spikes and pointy stuff all over it. Man, finding normal handlebars in 1 inch is so difficult. I never have understood why that is, but I finally found them. This is a Flanders bad boy bar, and boy, it's really expensive. What a nice handlebar though. Let's get it on the bike. What you got there, Luca?
Well, this is supposed to be our new master cylinder. Let's open it and find out what's inside. You got a brake?
Where's it going?
On the master cylinder? Wait a minute. On the... Cut. Cut.
No, you got it. Where's it going? I'm still rolling.
Cut. No!
Go ahead, put it up there. Oh, is that the side it goes on? Is that the side it goes on?
Sure, man.
Is that the side it goes on?
Oh! Please cut. Please cut.
Is that okay? All
I
right.
beg of you.
All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Next up, Luca's gonna lube our seat post tube. Are you ready to lube the tube, Luca?
I guess.
Here's our Zerk fitting, also called a grease fitting.
Zerk fitting.
So you put that on there.
Like that?
You gotta, it'll snap into place.
There we go.
Did it snap into place?
Sort of. Wait a second.
Yeah, just hold it right there
Just squeeze.
and start pumping. You got it. That's it.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
done. You're done. Since we have a U model engine in our chassis, and overhead valve engines like the shovel head that came out of this chassis require the gas tanks on Harleys to be dented out and relieved on the bottom of them. But the U model side valve doesn't have to do that. U model gas tanks are kind of round on the bottom. I think they're really cool looking. On this project, because this motorcycle doesn't really have any historical significance and it's not a restoration, I'm going to let the guys who actually want to restore bikes have access to the original Harley parts. That means aftermarket U-model gas tanks.
Yesterday we got a lot of stuff done. We got what I'm looking at right now. We have the gas tanks, the brake line, the brake master cylinder, throttle and grips. We also have the headlight, and we got the rotor on and the fenders and the wheel.
How do you feel about it?
I feel really nice. It's really coming together.
Those parts look
Proportions
good?
are great. The parts are very nice.
So we're about to bolt on our oil tank, and this is a horseshoe style oil tank, which means the battery lives inside of here. We're running a modern lithium Shore-Eye battery, and to make all this stuff fit, I decided to go ahead and make a battery box because I wanted to also run a traditional fuse block on top of the battery. The way it goes together is like this. The battery goes into the cool little box that I made with foam padding. Then our fuse block goes on top of the battery, and it's all secured by this ABS plastic mount that I built. And then the bolts that hold it on run through here and are secured at the bottom. And then there's spacers up here so that when you tighten the whole thing down with the top cover, it holds everything in place. And all of this lives inside our oil tank. Come on in and have a look. Our oil tank mounts actually are on the back of our new fender, or some of them. you'll see I put these washers here with nuts on the backside so that it threads right in. And this whole plate is of course all new. I also did some reshaping here and here to make this fender match into our chassis a little bit better.
We've just installed the oil tank and the battery inside of the oil tank. JT already explained how that works. Yeah, it all fits together beautifully.
What you doing up in there?
I am adjusting the speedo cable so that it fits onto the speedometer. And I don't want the nut to fall. Come on.
Don't tighten it, get the front one in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, film it. What you got on there?
I am putting on the shift gate.
This shift knob is from JT's 1963 Buick, actually. All right, that's from a car.
Now it's time for Hot Rod Interlude. Oh yeah. What gear are you in now?
Neutral.
Neutral. Put it in first. Second.
Hold it, right there.
Third. Fourth. Cool, huh?
Pretty cool. All right.
I believe that every motorcycle should have a center stand, even a Harley. And this is an optional piece of equipment for Harleys from the 50s, really. So we're going to put a center stand on this motorcycle for sure. While Luca was at summer camp, I started playing around with our exhaust pipes. So I tacked together a set of stainless steel pipes that we're going to test fit now and make sure they all line up right. And I found this really cool muffler on eBay. It's I don't know who made it, or really it's labeled a Manx muffler. I don't know who made this, but I just love it. It's so simple and period correct. Let's test fit this exhaust system and see what it looks like. Here we have our front exhaust header. I'm just snaking it through. Oh, that looks pretty good. Our header's in, right? We got all these witness marks to be able to line everything up. That all looks really good. We got clearance on the frame. So we'll put the final section on, which is our Manx muffler. Just like that.
Got that Manx. All right, I got the chain. That's a nice chain. Look at that.
What's that?
I don't know. Interlinker, the thing that connects these two.
Master link.
Master link. Oh.
Now that Luca has got our drive chain on and our master link in place, we'll adjust the tension of that later. I'm going to install what's called an overbearing. One of the problems with the Harley-Davidson transmission is that the output shaft, the main shaft, relies on a bushing. And that's what keeps the oil inside the transmission. And when this bushing wears out, everything gets sloppy and oil starts coming out. This is what's known as an overbearing. There's a bearing inside this nut which allows the shaft to be supported. So here we go. We're going to do a little red Loctite. Not too much, just enough. Put the nut on and be sure that the bearing is lining the shaft up properly. That looks good. And this is, of course, reverse thread. Now this is a big old 2 1/4 inch nut. And to be able to tighten this dude, I bought this tool. So this is actually for a twin cam. So we'll line it up. Give it a nice little tight. Yeah. That's on there. Great, we're ready to put our primary on.
Like that, you said? Well, we put some blue Loctite on them. Oh, here we go, right here. Almost forgot. And we got some washers on them. We have our new belt drive. Oh man, this is elite packaging. Oh, look at that. Okay.
What do you think?
I understand how to do this now. For sure. It's a nice looking belt drive.
Wow. Super cool.
Howdy,
What's your name?
my name's Andy Overslot. Well, what? Well, good to meet you guys. What are you guys working on in here?
Luca, why don't you show them what we're working on?
What's up, Luca? It's a real pleasure to meet you, bud.
Yeah.
Is this the old side valve? No. What? Tell me all about
So
it.
what we're doing is we're rescuing a Harley Davidson 1972 FX.
That's what.
I worked on the same motorcycle with JT, so I'm coming
But
back.
this motorcycle is your introduction to working on.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool. What are you doing right now? What are you doing? What are you working?
So right now I'm tightening the bolt for the belt drive. I just put it on, and yeah, it's a new part, and it looks really, really nice.
Yeah, everything looks pristine on this bag. And JT actually used to have this exact same engine in his 42.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is an engine that was used by Harley in like the 30s and 40s, I believe.
Oh, so it's really, really old.
Well, this one is a reproduction, but you're taking an engine that was used in the 30s, throwing it in a frame that was used in the 70s. This isn't a chopper, but it's chopper mentality. It's just taking a random engine, putting it in a random frame, no rules. The only rule is it's gotta go down the road.
I got the floorboard, foot clutch set up in, the clutch rod, the shifter rod. The primary is buttoned up, And the only thing that we have left to do on the left side of this motorcycle is the air cleaner.
Rolling.
Before we put that air cleaner on, we want to do one final check on our carburetor throttle cable setup. And that is to make sure that when we open the throttle, the carburetor opens all the way. You'd be amazed at how many people don't bother to check to make sure the carburetor slide actually actuates all the way. Let's see if it works. Are we open all the way?
We sure are.
Okay, well that means that we're good to go for air cleaner. Air cleaner.
All right. So. Oh, hold up.
The rear brake on Harley Davidsons are always terrible. The pedal is always like way up, and you got to take your foot off of the floorboard and then get onto the rear brake. So what I did is I re-engineered this thing so that we have a pedal stop here to control where our pedal lives, and then an adjustable rod here to control where it starts. I think that's a pretty cool little piece of engineering for our rear brakes. So the left side of the bike is now done. We're going to bolt on our floorboards and foot controls on the right side, and let's have a look at how that looks. What you hooking up there, Luca?
I am screwing in the oil filter. Here, look at that. Of course, it's obviously just a mock-up now, so it's not really connected or anything. But yeah, we're just gonna see how it looks.
A motorcycle without saddlebags is pretty silly because you can't carry anything with you. And our bike is definitely going to be a touring motorcycle. So, Uncle JT built the world's ugliest saddlebag brackets. Come in and have a look. They just kind of got out of control with how I was building them. I had to change a bunch of things and move a bunch of stuff around, but I think once they're powder coated and behind the bags themselves, they'll be fine. At least they're strong. Gee whiz. Let's put them on and see what our bags look like.
Compared to how this shelf was when I first got here, it was full. Look at how it is now. With this session complete, we still have to do a few technical stuff, finalizing so that it can actually get to run. But all of that was on there is now on the bike.
Well, that was a great session of working on the Funky Harley. We've got the bike pretty much assembled, and we're going to drop it off of the lift now so that she can stand on her own two legs for the very first time. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
How you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. We built this. We rescued it. Now all we got to do is just the technical stuff, and it'll be running. From like a Harley that seemed unsalvageable, it's now turned into this piece of art. It's crazy, but that's what I like about it.
You look great on it.
Thank you. Okay, so my Uncle JT, before I came up here to New Orleans, he did a tremendous amount of work to make my visit a good visit, which it has been. He's touched up everything. He's bought all the new parts. He's made sure that everything fits. He's
made a lot of new parts.
He made a lot of new parts as well, as you said. And I just wanted to, although it goes without saying, I'm eternally grateful to him for doing this and making this weekend a good weekend. A great weekend, an amazing weekend. Thank you, JT.